Hey everybody, T-Ham 141 here. I am here with Patrick Coste. How is it going, Patrick?
Not bad. Living the dream, really.
Yeah. If my computer would stop freezing up, I do not understand it, but I guess that's the way it goes. Um, yeah. I guess there's been some talk about a moon panel now um in the chat while I was messing around trying to come on. But it's not a moon panel, but it has been dark here for the last week. It has been rainy and cloudy, and I'm just making it up to the 3.8 that my solar panels try to keep the batteries at. And then at night it gets down to the 3.2. And I did a thing. I bought a freezer. It was unexpected. Monday, Trevor and I were running around getting stuff for his garage build, and we got the call that our pig meat was done. So we headed on out and got the pig meat. Well, I went down cellar of his house, and where my freezer is, I got a little chest freezer down there. And all of a sudden, hey, Melissa, hey, Mylin, I opened it up and it was already 3/4 full. I don't know what happened. There was bacon in there. Okay. There's no way bacon lasts a year with me. But having it down at Trevor's, it's a possibility it was overlooked. But so I ended up not having enough room for all of my pig. So Trevor and I, we had to go to Lowe's to get the rebar and wire mesh and wire ties and all that for his concrete pad. And hi, Kareen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. And so we went to Lowe's and we were getting that stuff, and I ended up saying, you know what, I've got to get a freezer. So I got a freezer, and it took us 2 hours maybe standing there trying to figure out, okay, at 434 kilowatts a year, that's X amount of kilowatts per day. That's X amount of watts per hour. Will my system handle this?
How much you said?
What's that?
400 a year?
400 kilowatt hours. And it comes out to, I think when it's running, it's 1.8 amps. And I have 800 amp hours. So it seems to be working. It has taken it down. The lowest I've seen it, I've had it hooked up since Monday. And Monday afternoon, which it had already been rainy and dark, so the batteries weren't fully charged then either. But the lowest I've seen it, I woke up in the middle of the night to make my potty run, and I stopped in the pantry and checked it out, and it was 13.18. So, and it's usually 13.2. So now with a lead acid battery, 12.7 is full. I'm thinking full is probably going to be the same on a 12-volt lithium, but it stays right at that 13.2. So
yeah.
So I'm happy. Yeah. I'm very happy with that.
Same sort of setup here.
Yeah. I have meat on the Homestead that is not canned. Meat that's not in jars. It's amazing. Go figure the technology today.
Oh, it's amazing. We got our deep freezer last year after we upgraded our solar panels with the old batteries. And, the lead acid, they don't work the same way as lithium, they die off slowly, very slowly. And when the lithium dies, they die quick. The power will stay strong all the way to the end. Boom, you know.
Right.
So
I didn't mean to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. And when we had our deep freezer, we looked for Energy Stars freezer, fridge. We got our fridge, same thing, Energy Star. It's electric. We got a deep freezer. So those two, we call them ghost runner. You don't feel them, you don't hear them, but they take 200 watts sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's never. I'm very, very happy about my Samsung fridge for sure. Like very, very efficient. You don't even see it on the meters.
Right. Dave Knight says, "Hey Dave, how's it going?" He says 14.2 is float on a LiPo 4. So maybe I ought to take my settings up to 14.2 because I've got it at 13.8. But then my inverter charger, because it's set on lithium, when I charge with the generator, it takes it up to, I want to say 14.7 or something, 14.2, 14.7, and then stops charging.
So absorption all the way to 2.
Oh, say that again.
Oh, it goes up to 14.7 and absorb all the way for a couple hours, I guess, and then it goes down to 14.2 to float.
Right.
Okay.
So I need, actually it says it stops charging completely. It doesn't do any trickle charge. It's just up to that 14.7 and then it stops. But I'll look into that. I did set because that said 14.7 on the inverter charger, I took and set my control my charge controller I set to 14.7, and I got alarms going off everywhere. Batteries overcharge. It said the batteries were in danger of overcharging and protected it.
Okay.
I'm very lucky there.
Okay. I know the batteries have a sheet, and follow that sheet in order to have your 3 stages. The bulk, the float, and the absorption. Not in that order, but same thing here. It goes up to like 29.2 when in bulk and absorption, and then it goes down to 27. And I'm on 20 volts. That's why it's like double. So it goes down to 27.2, and that was the recommended settings from the batteries manufacturer. So when I go into my Bluetooth device here, I basically can set those up at that particular, time and ways. So it never overcharge. I had trouble at the beginning with my other charge controller, and they were overheating and they were stopping. They were getting too much, overheating and stuff like that too. So
I'm
check
gonna
these.
have to check out that literature.
Yeah, on the battery when you bought it, you must have like a pamphlet, and that pamphlet or online, it will tell you that exactly what you need.
I know I've got it right here. I got to tell you, I was really impressed. This is a nice zipper bag, and it's got all sorts of information, product brochure, operation guide for beginners. I should have read that right off the bat.
Well, yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, in one of those, if I recall correctly, it says the cycle, but online you will find it for sure. We have the same batteries, just different amperage and stuff.
Right. I was just looking for my picture of the batteries, which the picture I have, it's funny. It's because I have 12 volt, 200 amp hour batteries. I have 4 of them in parallel so that it stays 12 volt. And so that gives me 800 amp hours of power. I wish I could understand what you were saying, but you seem to know a lot about the subject. It's amazing to be independent in that sense. I mean, it's freaky. Don't tell the government, but I'm getting free electricity, man. I mean, other than what I had to pay for the stuff, and now even without having unlimited energy, I have all the electricity I need to run a big stand-up freezer. That's amazing to me.
But that comes with a drawback when the weather changed like this, right?
Right. That's what I was worried about. And when Trevor and I were in the store, I said, well, even if I were to have to run the generator 2 days a week for 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it needs, it's still worth it for me to have my meat right close by it. I actually bought what is it? Tombstone pizzas, two Tombstone pizzas to put in that refrigerator, because right now I haven't gotten all my meat. The overflow I have up here, but I got to go down to Trevor's and transfer a bunch of that up here, especially the bacon. Once Trevor finds out the bacon's down there, it might disappear, which can't blame him. Bacon is awesome.
It is bacon season for sure, for sure.
Uh,
Yeah, here, with the deep freezer, we sort of have a routine from last year, but that's sort of went out the window with a new battery system that we got, right? And we never had it during the winter. So we've been on the, what is it, 4-day streak right now, and we went on and probably used 4 hours of generator to run the house.
yeah.
So it's basically a 2 days autonomy per 4 hours. So
And
it's not too bad.
no, that's not bad at all. And now how many amp hours do you have?
I do have 2 batteries of 24 volts and 200 amps.
Okay, so
That's
you have
about
400 amp hours.
yeah, I got about, and that's like by 2. You get about 9600 amp
Right.
hour possible, but
Yeah.
that's like a peak during the summer. There's no problem. During 4 days straight, it's not even a 4 hours generator. So soon as the sun goes up, there's no problem. They charge really fast. But right now, for the past 4 days, it's been pretty much dead in the water. So,
Yeah.
but even today, we had maybe 1 hour of sun and everything went well. But it depends on the consumption. I do have, like when I have my kids here, the water pump, the showers, it's nothing short. We have to do those things. So far it's good. But like I was saying earlier, when the lithium goes down, they go down very fast. So there's no warning per se. And the last piece of the puzzle is the actual generator that needs to be hooked up automatically. So, but that's another story of, like money story and stuff. So, I don't know when that's going to happen, but there's ways to do and go around. So that's my next learning. So it's fully automated.
Yeah, and that's got to be a shock for the kids too, going from on the grid where you just have all the electricity that you want and all the water and everything that you want, and then to step into an environment where, okay, we don't have that now. That's why dad, is walking around behind us shutting lights off and stuff. It's freaky for me when I go to Trevor's. Sometimes the kids will leave the light on in the kitchen, and I'll walk out to go through the kitchen to go to the bathroom, and I'll shut the light off because it's not my house, but
Yeah,
um,
good habits. Good habits. Like to me, it's always good habits, and for Kay as well. Like we basically trying to educate our kids doing that, and I think it works with the water. Like it's more like tangible than electricity. Like electricity, like yeah, shut down your your lights when you're done, and stuff like that. That's the basic. But kids don't do that.
yeah, it takes getting in the habit. Um, Marhelin said, Tracy, I thought about you this week. They said that probably in the next months there will be oh, no special requirements for to travel internationally. That is nice, because that's the only thing that I'm praying, God willing, that's the only thing that would stop me on my side of crossing the border would be having to get the poke. My next system will be 48 volts hybrid, planning for the future. Took ice cream camping with my new fridge in the van. How'd that work out? Did that ice cream in the new fridge? That's awesome. 48, yeah, 48 volts. That's what rich people do, man. And
It is
and
a system that is more expensive for sure in all aspect of the parts, and everything. But that's a lot of solar panel too, So basically, people who have 48 volts, they have 220 volts, like baseboard heating,
yeah,
water tank, stuff like that. So it is powerful. It is what you need
yeah,
for volt system because that's what we had here, and seems very convenient as per technology.
uh, yeah. It's because the more volts you have, the less amps you use. Because the amp is the power. The amp is what is my understanding is what is stored in the battery, and the volts are what push the amps. That's why you can get hit with 50,000 volts and just be laid out on the ground for a few minutes. But if you get hit with like a small piece of an amp, it can kill you and stop your heart.
Yeah,
Because it's the amps that are actually a power. Hi, Vanessa Kitty, how you doing?
yeah. The it's very powerful stuff, and but it's easy at the same time. But you have to get the knowledge of the mechanics, like
Yeah,
in everything. Like I wouldn't do it by myself if I wasn't surrounded by my father-in-law, who's like a mechanic by trade, which I have like hands-on experience with batteries and all that stuff. Um, but you learn for sure.
yeah. Well, yeah, because you have to. That's one benefit to setting up the system myself rather than paying someone to come in and do it for me. Is now I'm intimate with that system. I know that system fairly well. Um, so so you guys doing what I'm doing right now, drying tomatoes in the oven for 2.5 hours.
Can you do that at your place, Tracy?
Yeah, I have propane stove and oven. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, because I have the propane refrigerator, a propane stove, and propane water heater that um allows me a lot of latitude with the electricity. But I'm not use I've used see, I think it was in May that I got my two 100-gallon tanks uh put in of propane, and it's gone down like 10% since May.
You left, but I
So
don't even know what size I got here. But those big tanks that are about 5 feet high.
yeah,
Um,
and
yeah, it's
bigger
not.
big
Yeah, that's right. I guess it would be 250 liters.
yeah, that sounds about right. Because they're mine are 100 gallons a piece, but they only fill them 80%.
That's right.
Um,
So I got four of those, and I passed a year, like a full year. They came pretty much at the same time. and I was pretty glad about that. Like year autonomy is great, and that's my Lady K there. And we do use our oven for 2 hours and 30 minutes to dry the tomatoes.
Yeah.
We do that on a Sunday afternoon because our stove is also electric.
Oh,
Like it uses electricity, 120, 110, sorry, electricity. So that's also a thing that I didn't remember, but we don't have any trouble. Like we use it and it lasts, and like the power of the batteries works good. So it's
nice.
also propane. It's not only electric. So
Oh, nice. Dave asked if any, or sorry, Murray Lynn asked if anyone else is burning wood yet. Yep,
every day.
I didn't the last 2 days, but before that, I had to get the dampness out of the house. It was
Yeah, you're
crazy.
not too far from me, T-Hand. So I did burn this week. Let's say I don't recall which day, but we burned twice. Today was one of them. It's sort of awkward. I don't have the rhythm yet, So right now it's very warm.
Yeah,
It's a Drolet wood furnace. I love it. It's forced hair. That's another thing in the winter that takes energy. It's about 100 watts, 120 watts when it runs. Here, for me, it doesn't run all the time, but if it's really, really cold, the fan will run all the time, 24 hours. So it's 120 watts forever during the winter.
yeah. Um, the chimney
So,
was swept last weekend, and we put the black ink. Oh, so the wood. So we burned wood to dry it, but other than that, no. Oh, okay. Um, 50
the
solar panels
Cruza,
on the
right?
roof. Uh, what's that?
Oh, the black stuff is Cryoza, I think it's called.
Chris, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What else you got that runs during the winter? Do you have a furnace? Do you have a wood fire? Like how does it work?
I have a wood fire, just a regular wood stove because my cabin is 32 by 32. Um, yeah, 32 feet by 32 feet. The pantry is walled off and the bathroom is walled off and everything else is open. It's funny, this fireplace is so efficient that when I shut it down, it gets hotter because that's when those pipes with the air holes in them start burning the gases really well. And in order to adjust the heat in the winter, I open windows. That's all I can do. Uh,
Yeah. It's not too
uh,
bad here with the wood furnace with the forced air. And I was lucky because that system was there. Like when you build something, you can do that, but it was already here. So and was using propane before, and that furnace was taking 700 watts every time it was running, and
wow.
the heat was poor. It was not that great of a heat. So when you have like I do here, like a furnace, it's like the wood quality of the heat, but everywhere in the house. But it takes energy, but less. 120
Right,
is nothing.
right. Um, I'll be putting panels on the 2 workshop storage units that I'm building. Now, Vanessa Kitty, that's not your girlfriend? Oh no, that Kareen is your wife.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, it's amazing because we started off with a 200-watt Renogy solar kit here, uh, and it worked fine for everything we needed. But the off grid experiment has evolved over time where now I'm getting all the comforts of home. Wendy, oh, she would love to have a freezer up here because just shopping, you could only buy so much frozen stuff because we have just a little tiny freezer on top of the refrigerator.
Yeah. A lot of
Uh,
time the deep freezer is served like the in between canning too. Like sometimes you freeze your tomatoes.
yeah,
So it's very useful. And Kay is not that happy about the performance of it. She's like, oh, like it's not a what's called rotative pump. It's like when it starts, it takes 200 watts.
Hmm.
Or fridge, it goes like 20, 60, 30, 90, 100, and then it goes down like
Yeah.
that. It never has a peak at first. So that's why she doesn't like the deep freezer. She would love to have another one of the fridge, but like a model with a deep freezer.
Yeah. Um, well, that's one of the problems. Like with my well water pump, uh, it's 12 volt, but it's missing that peak. A lot of electric motors, when you first turn them on, they will peak a real high. That's why your generator has, like, I have a 2000-watt generator, but it's 2000-watt peak, 1600-watt running. Um, because when you engage your motors, it peaks them out.
Yep.
Blankets in Connecticut. We've been having colder days. Everyone's been sick, so I've been, yeah. Um, yeah, it has been dark, damp, and cold. Um, and I wish this rain would have been more spread out throughout the summer. It would have really helped the garden.
Mhm.
Uh,
It was perfect there, to be honest with you.
yeah,
And like the 2 days autonomy of my battery has been tested lately. And it's early to be that dark, so I'm hopeful, for October that it's gonna be not that bad. But October, November, most of December, people.
yeah. It's it's supposed to be a long, snowy winter.
Freeze.
According to the Farmer's Almanac. Old Man King, welcome. I heat with a propane heater, but I haven't used it yet. The coldest it's gotten in my camper is 50 degrees. I'm hoping that's Fahrenheit, so you're not on fire. Um, but yeah, yeah, and you're in upstate New York, if I remember right. Um, Old Man King. Let's see here. If it's sunny outside, we have so many windows. It heats pretty fast, mostly when the sun is getting lower, like now. Yeah, we designed our cabin with we have the big glass doors out here, the sliding doors, and then two windows besides that, and for passive solar heating. Um, and on damp days, it doesn't work that great. But the solar system, I'm telling you, the upgrades that we've made, with the charge controller, um, the charger, and the batteries, when it is just night and day.
Yeah. My new system, battery system, and everything makes me think about my solar panel orientation. Because right now I got three orientation, which was good with the LED because it lasted a long day. It was a long, long day charging. But right now, what I would need is like a very, very fast and efficient charging setup. So in 3 hours, everything could be done.
Right.
On a very, very short day. So I don't know how that's going to go, but that's one thing
Yeah.
in order to optimize. And I wonder, because the setup is very new. We use a few times a generator, but I really want to know those 3 months, those 3 dark months, how they're going to go for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And the thing is those 3 dark months are the coldest months. So it's one of those things, you want to know what your system will do. You want to probe its limits, but because it's so cold, you don't at that time you don't want to get caught with your pants down, so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You just said something that resonate there because that's where you need the most of your energy, for eating, for this, for that. It is true.
Yeah, the way through contract on our have way through contract on the solar panels. I will be buying the larger ones come close to the end of the contract, 280-watt panels now. Yeah, I have 1,000 watts of panels, 250-watt panels. I bought them used from a friend of mine whose son-in-law works in Arizona, and the state can only use a solar panel so long, and then they have to remove them. So they're older, but there was really nothing wrong with them. And
Yeah,
he just brought them up here, and I paid $100 a piece for them, 250-watt solar panels.
that's really good. That's really good. It usually goes here in Canada. It goes about $1 a watt. So
Mm-hmm.
300 watt, $300. But it lowered down a bit, but it went up again, and everything went up these days. Not sure what's going on overseas, but
Yeah.
the everything went up and the consumption. So it is a little bit why I got my battery. Uh, like my lead batteries were still good. I was able to sell the old kit that I had, but it wasn't performant enough for a household. Like we were talking about energy saving, and I've been saying that in the other live, but we have a Canadian style home like this, right? So the gables and everything, like in the summer keeps the sun away, and in the winter let the sun in. So that's
Mm-hmm.
like another thing you did there. Uh, you know, so that's like, I don't know. In the winter, you try to scratch all the watts you can, right?
Yeah.
Without struggle. You don't want to be thriving still. You want the kids to be wearing no toques or anything like that.
Yeah, Melissa would funny thing is our house is cooler inside on warmer days. So in cooler days it's warmer outside than inside. So find ourselves going out to warm up. Yeah, that's something that Wendy and I got in the habit of early on is in the summer we would watch, and when that temperature from outside and inside equalizes, when they're both at like 70, we shut down all the windows, we shut down all the shades, and it stays pretty cool in here. And then in the winter, we don't really, oh, excuse me, in the winter, we don't really have to worry about it because uh, the passive solar comes in the window, heats up the floor. I want to, in front of the doors, the sliding glass doors, it's always been the plan to put like a slate tile down so the sun can go on that and heat them up um, for in the winter. That
That's
would be
good.
nice.
That's really good. I
Um,
was thinking about putting mirrors everywhere so we can have lights everywhere in the house.
yeah, yeah. I was watching Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and they were at, I believe it was Layman's. And if anyone from if Tammy from Rebel Canners is in here, or Corey Corky from Wide Family Farm, they went to Layman's, and I'm wondering if they might have went for that big fair thing, and if they might have met Doug and Stacy, which it's pretty funny oogling over people doing the same thing I am, but
Oh
they're
yeah,
friends of
yeah. I heard
celebrities.
about them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how's your like consumption lately? Like, were you able to gain any watts, or you had to do a lot of generator lately? You mentioned it earlier, but
I haven't I haven't started the generator today. I did start the generator for a little while I did laundry. Um, just to have that there. Because I wasn't sure how the system was going to respond. The washing machine usually takes us up to 50% on the inverter, and this freezer takes us to 25%. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. So I did start the generator for a little bit today. But it's one of those things. I want to see what my system will do, but I'm scared because, like in my drill, the lithium battery, when it goes bleh, it goes bleh. It
That's
dies
it.
quick. Yeah.
I lived it. I ran out of power at one point because we're not aware, and it's always during the night. And really, you can go out of electricity at night for hours, and your fridge is going to be cold. You know, your everything will be cold. So
Right.
it's kind of weird. But you wake up and it's like no lights. It's like, oh, I'm not proud of myself. You know, there's something I did wrong here.
Right.
But luckily, my inverter, which is a Victron Multiplus 3000, 3000, I guess it's called. The generator goes and give power to the battery, and it gives power to the my grid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that big of a generator, but it provides and it powers my battery bank at the same time. So that's sort of a cool thing, just to change that up. And it wasn't the most expensive, inverter. It was just well priced and very well versed, you know. And so and that in itself was really good, very power efficient when you look at the generator use versus what you need to charge and everything. And I used to be only charging the battery, so they would go up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
And the power itself to the batteries was not even 1300 watts. Now it gives 2500 watts right now. But if I go with a bigger generator, it could go faster.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we're not there yet because we want to make sure that we can do it ourselves, of course, and that it's legal and everything. The insurance can go on, and so
Yeah.
you have to do all these things properly and learn and make sure that like electricity here, you can do everything, but you need to have an electrician to plug the thing, the breakers. So
Yeah.
so that's the same thing for that. Yeah, no, I was wondering about the consumption because I can now track everything that I have on my system. Do you want to see it? Do you want to share the screen, or I can share the
Yeah.
screen there? I'll
Yeah.
try that.
Absolutely.
Share screen. Share a screen with easiest to monitor. Share screen with best computer. Oh, okay.
Marilyn, I would check with Renogy.com. They have some cheap, like to run a fan, 100-watt panel should be enough to like run a fan for the rabbit hutch and stuff. And they're fairly cheap.
Yes, that's that's exactly, and that's how someone should start. If they don't want to change their whole house with anything, your doghouse with a little light. You can buy kits, and you'll see what it is, and maybe you're gonna dig it very, very like deeply, like we did. But that's how it goes, and really, you can set up your stuff, and you can buy used. You can buy used stuff, but go with solid stuff. Don't go with a cheap version like Renogy. I got Victron. There's a bunch of others that are very solid, and there's a bunch of information online. So you guys see this, the Victron
Okay.
screen.
I added that.
All right, so that's kind of cool because that's my system that I have, and that's how I see everything is going on, right? So let's say I'm going to the roof here, and it's going to load, right? You see all the consumption. So it went well. Different colors means absorption. It means floating. But then the past 5 days now, it went like this. So we lost like all the sun here. So that's probably where we went on and did the generator here. And then today and yesterday, we had a little bit of sun, but not even close to what we need. Like right now, the sunshine, well, the daylight is 12:31, 12 hours, 31 minutes. And if you go here, like that was the very decent sun. It's 7 hours, 25 minutes of bulk. and then it goes to float. That means the battery reached a certain point where they couldn't get better, you know.
Oh, nice.
So that's right now I got 4 watts and it's like dead, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. At
this is
night
the
it
other
slows
ones.
right down.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's
So that's how I gauge my stuff, and that's kind of neat because we used to go downstairs and see what was going on, and and being very dependent on all the meters that were downstairs and make sure that we had so much energy for this and that. Now we're like in our living room and we're able to say, oh, we're good. Oh, we need the generator because here the last part is the automated generator, but we don't want to go with those big one at 10, 15 grand. We
yeah.
want to have like the minimum but automated. There's such a
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah. Down here we have generic. I always call them generics, but I guess it's
yeah,
Generac. And they have some house size automated generators that are reasonably priced for a generator.
for
And
like standing, not portable.
right. Um, Now my 9,000 watt Predator, it has, because it's the electric start, I can get the kit where it can plug into my inverter charger, and that my inverter charger would automatically start the generator
That's
if it
it.
hit a certain. um, that would be nice.
That's exactly it,
um,
and that's what I'm looking forward to.
and Dave says solar tech is changing fast and much cheaper, absolutely much cheaper, and changing. um, when Wendy and I first started thinking about going off grid when we were living in Port Leyden, we never dreamed of having an electric fridge. So we went with propane, but the possibility of having an electric uh, freezer, that was just never crossed my mind. Hey, Belinda and Chuck, how's it going? Welcome. And this is Patrick Costa. He is from Canada and he is off grid as I am. He runs his whole house on a 24-volt system.
Giving 120 volts.
Give him 120-volt. Yep. 50 panels at 280 watts. That is a system.
That's a very good system. I got 11 panel at 310. I got 3.4 kilowatts of intake possibilities. And if I look at my data here, I probably get about, and I'm looking today how much I got yield today. So I got probably 3 kilowatts. Yeah, three. Yeah, so 3 kilowatt hours per day of absorption on a decent day. So
Yeah.
50 panels at 280 watts. Probably going to be on 48 volts there, Vanessa. 48 volts, yeah, probably. I hope so. Or if it's if it's on the 12 volts, it's going to be very powerful,
Yeah.
but very quickly depleted. So
Yeah.
50 panels will charge them very fast. So
I started with a 12-volt car fan in the greenhouse and a $150 kit. Yep.
yeah, that's
Yep.
it, Dave. Like start with something, get your hands on. You don't have to be that crazy when you start with a small thing. Like a house is something different because you need bigger wires, you need this, you need that.
Right.
But when you start like this, it's fun actually. Like I wanted to do something with my shed with my old panels. You were talking about 10 years ago it was different technology, different pricing. This house been built 25 years ago, and the man who built it put on solar panel right then. So the panels were 50 watts, 100 watts, and you could see the updates later about a 200 watts panel. But the first generation of panels, they were all written in Japanese. Everything was Japanese. No nothing, no nothing.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine it was from Japan.
Right. Yeah. We started off with the Harbor Freight. Um, there were 4 25-watt panels that hooked to a system. I still have it. In fact, I think I have 2 of them because my friend Matt wasn't using his, so he said, "Well, we'll send those up." And it just had a little charge controller with it, and we kept one battery. It was for our camper when we'd go camping, so that I could just set up the panels, hooked up with the gator clamps there, alligator clamps, to the batteries, and it would just keep our batteries charged, so we wouldn't have to run the generator.
Yep, yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's I started with a house and a lot of YouTube, so my learning curve was a bit different, but it was steep. First day I came in, it was end of October, so winter was really there, and the old setup wasn't good at all. So we came in and we bought a very expensive shack. The light didn't work, and so we just didn't know what to do really. Thank you, Marilyn.
Yeah, it's good to start with a smaller system so that you begin learning the little things, like the small thing. You have to hook up your charge controller to your batteries before you hook them to the panel, so that they can get a read on the batteries, because most of them automatically read the battery and tell you what they are now.
Yep.
But it is just amazing. Another thing I did, let's see if I can do this, share my screen. I bought this Seaflow water pump. Hopefully that shows it.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. I bought this Seaflow water pump, an accumulator tank. It's just a little, like a 1 or 2 gallon bladder tank. And it really increased my water pressure for like the shower and stuff, but it also keeps the motor, when the tank drops below 60 psi, the the pump kicks on and fills it up again, or continues it running. But then it goes off, and I can actually run water in the faucets now without having to use from the batteries for several minutes. I'm going to say a couple minutes, so it saves on a little bit. Oh, I found this. This is a screenshot of Grandpa's weeder. I don't.
Yeah.
And I saw it in Walmart the other day, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was Grandpa's weeder.
Yeah.
when
That's good.
when Pa needed his weeds pulled, he did me. And I just want to touch on this. The People's Garden, the USDA, on their website, USDA.gov, because I had to check to see if it was real, wants you to, if you have a community farm or a garden that you would like to designate as a People's Garden, join us, and you register your garden with the USDA, the United States Food and Drug Administration, or whatever.
Okay.
Well, there are actually people doing this, and more power to them. because quite honestly, um, quite honestly, you know, when they get done destroying the country, at least the ruling class in Washington will know where to go to get food.
That's was my first thought, to be honest with you. Uh, you know,
Yeah. Uh, with the firearms, we've always said that registration leads to confiscation.
Mm,
And it's funny, and it has happened like that. There have been many firearms confiscated because they were registered.
yeah,
You can't take what you at Department of Agriculture, okay. Um, you can't take what you don't know is there. Uh, and it just amazes me that so many people are literally registering their food, um, so that one day, the government can come take that.
pick
Now,
it up.
the funny thing is they're calling it the People's Garden.
You do it well. What can I say?
And yeah, can you get any more communist leaning?
Yeah,
Because that's a big theme of communism is everything belongs to the people. It's the people's square, the people's government, the people's building,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Community, it's nice to a certain extent, but soon as it doesn't please the person, like whoever it is, it's not community anymore. So that's my drawback. When you think about community, because there's good people everywhere and there's other people everywhere.
Well,
So
yeah, and now that the governments have gone from protecting the people's rights to protecting the people, trying to protect, they can't, but they're trying to protect the people. Well, now with all these shortages, the supply chain problems and stuff, um, okay, we have to assume control over this community garden. We will tell you how to run it, and we will ensure everyone gets their fair share. But wait a minute, I've got 4 rows in there that I planted, and Timmy's only got a half a row because that's all he wanted,
yeah,
and but everybody gets their fair
yeah.
share, and basically you get a share of uh what they want to give you. You don't get a share of the whole thing. You get a share of what they want to give you because now they got to feed the people that are in the community to control the garden.
The
uh,
welfare, yeah.
I
But
just thought that was so funny.
yeah, but there are example of good communities such as Ubuntu. If you go online and look for those in Africa and stuff like that. But it's not about giving and receiving. It's about doing. Like it's do what you're good at. Like you and I probably
Mhm.
would be the solar guys. The Marilyn would be the tomato lady.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. So it's not about giving, but it's about spending your time wisely and not exhausting yourself. But who lead those things? That's the thing. Like it's beautiful, but then who leads and what? How do you vote? How do that person does this and that?
Yeah. And it always goes from voluntary to mandatory. Right now it's voluntary. Hey, do you want to register this garden? And
Yeah,
then something will come up, and you're right, that is a beautiful way for a community to work.
hmm,
Okay, hey, I've got a plot of land. I want to for this season, I want to open up this plot of land for the community to do a garden. And then after they do, then they do the garden, and they get it and it works out. People volunteer to work it, but there comes a point when it becomes compulsory Okay, you have to have now all of a sudden, well, for the better for the better of the community, we have to grow 9,000 pounds of butternut squash.
That's right. Like how many people do you need to sustain?
Right.
Like I don't believe myself, even though I'm trying to get my solar ready for winter. Like I think I'm that far, but the sun is missing. The sun is missing. But
Yeah.
in a very different world, I would need to live without my generator.
Yeah.
So like it would be open bar in the summer and struggling in the winter. Like it wouldn't be the same setup as right now if nothing was working as per propane. Like anything outside. Like the main thing, we cut our propane in 3/4. I think like we basically use a quarter of propane we used to. So right there, that's a great thing. But when you think about sustainability of a village and of people, I think 50 people wouldn't be that bad of a deal. Like garden for 50 people, wood for 50 people. Housing. How do you manage all that?
Yeah.
So squash is a good thing to grow.
Yeah, it is.
it, it,
It keeps well. Um,
yeah,
thank you, Marilyn. Hit that like button if you
yeah.
enjoy the content.
Squash it.
Yeah, squash that like button.
But yeah, no, I right now I didn't adapt myself to the winter settings yet. And not the kids are far from it either. But I don't think I'm going to struggle that much, and I think every generator hours consumption will go down. So
Mhm.
that was my goal. But what's next? Like even today in the past 4 days, you saw my results. That was no sun. Like I harvested nothing.
Yeah.
Like I harvested. What is it? Yes, I'm just gonna go check it up again. But I think I harvested like on a good day. I go 3,000 watts, and I think in the past 4 days, I think I got not even 1,000 watt
Yeah.
in 4 days. And usually it's one day 3,000. So when there's no sun, there's no sun. So that's what I'm trying. And Marilyn was talking about a moon panels. They are in existence, but
Yeah.
they're not public. Like you see the technology, you see like Windows solar panel technology, but it's not here. I don't have them, you
Right.
know.
And right now they're kind of expensive. I watched a guy
Yeah.
take, I forget what kind of panels they were, but he set them up to reflect the light from a fire at night, and they registered a small charge. I mean, it wasn't their full capacity, but they
Yeah.
registered a small charge.
Well, you saw 3 watts, 4 watts earlier on my
Hmm.
thing, and it's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark right now. It's 7 o'clock. It should be lit, but it's dark. And yeah, some people do it with a moon and windows, and it's crazy. But it's getting expensive now. Like the prices went up since a year ago, which were like pretty much at the lowest you could imagine. But it's the scarcity right now that makes it difficult to get those things now, with the cars, with the problem with China brewing, with Russia, and all these things. So they try to force agendas on energies and stuff, but they just, I don't know. I'm wondering, so that's why I'm happy to be reliant, even though I need to worry about it right now because it's my first time with my new setup, and it's
Hmm.
the winter. Like the famous phrase, winter is coming. So we're like, okay, what's how And Kay was like, well, now that the generator propagates the energy through the inverter towards the batteries and towards the grid, my grid, we better use it when the peak point, when the kids are in the shower, or when I do the dishes,
Yeah.
whatever else. And so we did that, and then we lasted the full 2 days, you know. So I'm like, hey, that works, like only a couple hours. Let's try that for the next time as well. So we need to adapt quite a lot, just to go back to
Yeah.
the theme here. But I did all the work and all the calculation that I could and that I know how to. in order to be okay. And so, but I knew those 3 months, October, November, December would be the darkest months. So I tried to gauge 3 times the energy, but I changed my batteries. So now I need to think about changing my setup, like I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the things with buying the freezer. It takes my food preservation to a whole new level, and because I'm off grid, I don't have as much of a worry about power outages and stuff like that. However, if I do have a power outage, it's all my problem. um,
Yeah.
but I was, with winter coming on, we don't know how dark it's going to be. I'm going to have to this is my first winter with these new batteries. I don't know how they're going to be. I think I'm going to be sitting pretty, because, well, what's, let's see, 800 times 12. Yeah, I've got 9,600 watt hours. So at 1 watt, burning 1 watt an hour, I could do that for 9,600 hours. But man, it's like earlier today. It's funny because I'll turn on the coffee pot to make a cup of coffee, and then I'll run in and I'll check and see how much it's using. That computer screen, that would be nice, having it relay right to your computer.
Yep.
But so far there haven't been any real problems with it.
That's it. You get used to it. Like during the summer, it's perfect. Like even like 4 days of rain, the days are so long and they're still bright. Everything charged up pretty well because the consumption on a regular day, it's not that bad. It's the pump here. Like when you use a pump, you use 1,000 watt and it lasts a minute, so it's not too bad either. But it's the ghost thing, like the fridge and the fan from the heater, stuff like that takes your batteries.
Yeah, those little ghost charges that get sucked away, LED lights on things, and monitors, anything that has to monitor temperature, because even when the freezer it's not registering a draw, it's really low, but periodically that's got to check and say, okay, the freezer is this temperature, I need to stay the way I am, or it's this temperature, I've got to turn the freezer on. Got mine before the trade stops around the world. We will be, rolling blackouts, and they're talking about it in places other than California, rolling blackouts.
Yeah,
we are in some serious trouble. And the thing is I look at California and I do feel bad for the Californians, especially the ones who didn't vote for the nonsense and that they have in their local leadership. But they're having a problem with electricity, and they just shut down their last nuclear reactor. Nuclear is a very, very clean energy. The rods that they use are very clean.
True that. That's what I heard. Of course, you could destroy a whole continent, but that's what happened in Europe right now. Like they playing with all those things, and hopefully, they will be able to grow garden.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna have a test. Like this winter, all the European countries, they're gonna have a test of sustainability, and I hope you're gonna be able to provide.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Like we are self-reliant. We were talking about that people's map. People's garden. I'm thinking, someone could say, "Oh, these people are off grid." We need their panels. We need their shit. Whatever. Sorry, I did the word
that's
there.
all right.
But,
that's all right.
That's another thing. Like even though I'm not harmed to the feet, but I can defend myself, but I cannot defend myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a whole new level of fear
This
when
is
you think about that.
this is my family's livelihood. I mean, right now I'm the only one living here, but if things go bad, I can get my mom up here. I can use it as a base of
Rally point.
operations.
Yeah.
Yeah, get my brother up here and stuff, or and it's you have to be able to defend that. If you can't defend it, then you're doing it for someone else. The thing is now I'm to the point where I can actually say, okay, if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, man, we're hungry. You know, we don't want to cause any problem. We're hungry." You know, I can hand them a jar of squash or whatever, and you know, I was even Wendy and I were before she got sick. She was looking into making 72-hour bags of just cheap little kids book bags with 72 hours worth of food, maybe an emergency blanket or something in it, you know, stuff to help them so that we could say, okay, you know, you can,
Yeah.
this will help you.
Yeah, 72 hours is a basic in the prepper community.
Yeah.
You know, the 72 hours a week, then 3 months, you know. But, you know, all that is nice short term, but, you know, like we're not kidding here when we talk about end of the world and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's a bit harder than that. So, like, having electricity is nice, but you need to hunt, you need to do all these you know, hunter-gatherer things that we're not used to. So
Yeah.
adapting my solar life here, it's easy when you think about all those things. So getting ready for the winter, I'm ready as I can get, and I know that I got backups right now, and I can still afford gasoline for the generator, you know.
Yeah.
But
And like the preps from the summer, the canning and everything, all that, you're like, well, I can just go to the store and buy squash, or I am hitting the squash hard tonight, or beans or whatever. However, now I don't have to spend money on those things. I can put that money in my gas tank,
yeah.
or where I really have to.
Or do buy the stuff. You know, here we buy stuff all the time. The garden produced. We're happy about that. You know, but we still buy stuff that are cheap. You know, cheap stuff, good stuff. You know, like there's always a period for potatoes. You know, we grew potatoes because we wanted to know how to grow potatoes.
Yeah.
You know, but we're gonna buy crap load of them, even though we had a little bit small amount, just because they're cheap. It's the same with tomatoes. We got like, I don't know how much, but we got a crap load of tomatoes, but we're still gonna get more because if we think about that, you know, all the way to the it's 52 weeks. So if we can have 100 weeks, you know, we're good until the next season. So that's like the rotation starting, right? So same with my firewood. You know, that's all this stuff that I want to improve for the winter, outside of the solar thing, the batteries and all, but it's all connected, right?
Yeah. I've got my firewood. I've got half of this year's in the woodshed. I only need 6 more face cord, which isn't a whole lot. It's pretty close to 1 full cord, I think. But now we're clearing for the barn, and I'm setting that wood aside for next year, so that can be drying, so I get the best benefit. I get the most use of its energy. And then we have this year's wood, which Trevor, that poor guy, he's so busy right now with everything going on. But yeah, it's we keep going. I mean, you look in my pantry, you're going to find Hormel chili. You're going to find canned green beans, canned meat. The struggle is real, Dave. The struggle is real. Yeah.
I got my lady who brews up everything she can, puts her hands on.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and close it down. We've been on for over an hour, so you guys have a great day. Thank you, Patrick, for being on with me tonight.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that this freezer lasts me many years. And the little water tank thing, I finally got it working right. So
Yeah. Post a link to that in the comment in your affiliate store there, because it is something that, I know it's 12 volt, but the principle of it intrigues me.
yeah.
So I'm gonna check that out. Same with water batch heater. Like all those things save energy.
Yeah. Yeah. The link should already be in the description. Let me just check to make sure real quick.
And congrats on the deep freezer. It's a good way to preserve food, or in between. If you're like Annie, who cans with 2 canners at the same time,
Right.
You need you need something afterwards.
Wow, 8 pounds of hops. Woo!
Hops, eh?
Yeah, for to brew their own beer, and
But
that will
pounds,
save you money. That will
very
save
much.
you.
And pounds, like this thing is very light, so 8 pounds is a lot of hops.
I guess so.
Amazing.
I guess so. Wow. But anyway, you guys all have a great night. Thanks for stopping in, and we will talk to you next Thursday. And remember, Patrick, you got any shorts coming out soon, or videos, or?
I'm trying. I got a bunch of short recorded, but this time is so busy that I'm just wondering what to do every day just to chill.
Yeah.
So maybe I should post some, but mainly it's about the chicken these days. I'm trying to expand on the chicken, and I've been I've been watching a lot of Hickory Croft chicken clans and spiral breeding. So that's what I'm focusing on. And I was supposed to get more chickens, but I'm not ready. So I don't mind having them during the winter, like, and feeding them for nothing. But
Right.
I'm gonna have to get ready, and I got conventions and stuff in October, end of September. So busy times, but everything I'm ready. Kay is gonna be in good hands by herself here. So are you gonna run out of electricity?
No, that is my fire alarm. I'll be right back.
Okay. Be well, Tracy.
Yeah, it's just.
I hope we won't go live on seeing crazy things here.
Yeah, we're not having. There's. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no problem other than an old fire. Actually, it should be good for several more years. Maybe it's just muggy or something. Maybe it's because I have my batteries in the house. Probably shouldn't do that.
Well, your lithium batteries, that's okay. They don't do anything.
Oh, good.
Lead acid, they create fumes and stuff. That could go on fire. But that's like crazy talks, but nobody had any problems. But sometimes one out of an amount of people, will have trouble. But they do create gas that can be flammable. So be careful, guys.
Okay, so but with the lithium, I should be good.
100%.
So yeah,
you could go like this and shake them up, and
just don't get them wet inside. That lithium reacts with water, man.
yeah, and you can't get cold. They can't freeze. So that was that. I'm glad you're there, Tracy.
Yeah, it was a false alarm. I cheaped out on the smoke detector, but
All right.
the one time I ignore it's the time my house will be on fire. All
Hey,
right.
don't say things like that, and I should get mine checked.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night, and we'll talk to you later. God bless.
Thank you, Tracy. Bye-bye.
Bye.